Welcome in. Week 14 recap. The regular season is over. We're back at it with Sam. It was a wild last week, as we fully expected, a wild regular season, which has somehow already come to a close, and we're into the fantasy playoffs. Sam, you got in. We talked about it last week, all the scenarios. All you had to do was get a win, one win anyway. Um,
Easy.
yep. And stress
Easiest win
free,
of my
right?
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was stressed for like a total of, I don't know, 1.5 minutes. However long it took Kyler to tear his ACL. But
Well, for the Sunday night game, but you
oh
weren't
yeah,
feeling
no.
too good for the whole rest of Sunday.
No, it's it doesn't matter how you get there. I'm here now. I'm in it. And that's just thankful for that today. For
Made
now.
it to, made it to the dance. So before we completely get into the matchups, I'll let everyone know because weekly prizes are now over, regular season's over. Where we ended up on that. Drew took the weekly prize this week, ending his dominant regular season on a high note with 170 points in his third weekly prize. So that tied Andre for him and Drew both ended up with 3 weekly prizes this year for $90 total. Me, you, and Jake all got 2 for $60. My 2 came in weeks 11 and or 12 and 13. And then Noah and Kyle each got 1 for $30 each. So that's where we ended up on the weekly prizes. And then a reminder, because I just remembered when I went back and looked at our payout structure, is that there's an $80 prize for the most regular season points, which went to Drew, who finished the season with 1,956 points. Andre actually ended up in second with 1886. So Drew, by a decent margin, won most points in the regular season. That was $80. So out of the 200 he paid, Drew's already got $170 coming back to him. And I mean, it makes sense. He was completely dominant during the regular season. So that's where we ended up on the regular season prizes. And then for a reminder, for the champion, you're going to take home 1,200. Second place will be 300.
That's a lot of months of Twitter blue if you're Drew. That's where he's investing this $80, I'm sure. So that's 10 months right there. So I
That's
think he's
almost
going to be
almost a year.
verified for at least another year.
Oh man, so we'll get into it, and it really, like we said going into last week, came down to me, you, and Chris for those last 2 spots. And man, I came out and just did what I needed to. It felt good. I was never really too stressed out because I got off to a good start. So I knew I was going to be in pretty much because if I went 1-1, I just needed to beat Chris. And the way that both of our weeks kind of started, I pretty much knew that I was in. So that felt good. But between you and Chris, it ended up coming down pretty late there. So like we mentioned, you got a 101-68 win over Noah, who secures a second place finish and a first round bye with a 68 point performance.
Yeah, Noah's Noah's team kind of flamed out at the right time, I guess, enough to get him a bye and as he moves ahead into the playoffs. But yeah, it was never pretty. I just kind of spent most of the day on Saturday. I had a lot of players. Sorry, most of the day on Sunday. A lot of my players played in that 1 o'clock window. Kept thinking I was going to get, all those notifications popping up. Big play here, touchdown there. Crickets all day Sunday, which is just the worst feeling. But of course, you have to remember that you don't see your teammates' notifications either unless you check them. So here I was thinking that I was just doing horrible. But at the end of the day, Noah's team didn't show up either. I mean, Derrick Henry had 20 points at the end of the first quarter.
End of
He
the
rushed
first.
for like Derrick Henry rushed for like 2 yards the entire second half.
I think he had 100 yards in the first quarter. He ended with
Yes.
121.
Yeah. So it was just incredible to go back and look. And yeah, it was ugly, it was scrappy, as most of Noah and my matchups are. Got a lot of grit on the line. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, just the way it worked out.
And it came down, and it really ended up affecting Chris a lot more. But because he did have a chance going into Monday night, got Kyler Murray, you had Ramondre Stevenson in the Patriots defense. You were in a very good position. But if Kyler went out had a huge game, it was definitely possible, especially considering the fact that Ramondre Stevenson went down with an injury, left with only 3 points. However, Kyler got hurt in the third play of the game, 0.6 and not going to cut it. So Noah didn't even come close to you, which in turn meant that Chris was eliminated on the third play of the Monday night game after all that hype. He had a chance. Now, we talked about it a little bit, as tough as that was for Chris. I think it was probably better that he was let down that quickly and just ripped the Band-Aid off, because he did end up missing the league median by less than 2 points. That would have been more brutal if he had. Now, obviously, it would have affected Hopkins for him
Sure,
too. So,
sure.
it doesn't exactly work like that. But if he had missed median by that many points and Noah had beat you, I mean, those, 2 points would have been the difference of him making the playoffs or not. That to me would have been more painful.
Yeah, and I couldn't have been happier with the outcome. But yeah, for me, it was I was able to relax after that third play of the game, because I
Yeah.
figured he wasn't going to pull a Paul Pierce and come back out there in a wheelchair. But yeah, it was over in a flash. And again, if Kyler had played a lot of different variables, but the Patriots defense also showing up
Yeah.
was nice. It made me feel like it didn't all necessarily hinge on the Kyler play, but it still really did. But
Yeah.
sorry to Chris. I thought he was going to make media in there too. Just bad luck. Just
Yep. So he got the win, but it wasn't enough as he didn't make median. But even if he had, you would have taken that with Noah winning. So ended up working out for you. Even though you only scored 101, like you said, a very gritty performance for Noah. Noah has me to thank. I mean, the only reason, because Noah did absolutely nothing this week for himself to earn a first round bye. Now, that said, he has been very, very good all season, number 2 team. So he put himself in the position where he could have a bad week and still get there. But Jake put up 139 against me. If Jake had won, because he easily got the median, Jake would have gone 2-0 and jumped Noah and gotten that first round bye. But because I put up 159, Jake only went 1-1 on the week. They end up tied with a 17-11 record, but Noah takes the bye week with. Now, it was of huge discrepancy in their points going into this week. It ended up being only 17 more points after Jake put up 139 and Noah scored 68. But Noah still barely held on. So he's going to relax on that first round bye, but he did lose Kyler. Made the absolute last second trade right before the playoffs. We'll see if that means anything with Lamar, because he's still going to be hurt. But Noah's going to have some things to figure out with his quarterback position, but he's got the bye week to sort it out. So for my matchup, like I mentioned, 159, 139 win over Jake, who I'm now going to face again next week, back-to-back weeks for me and Jake. We had the top 2 quarterbacks of the week, Trevor Lawrence and Jalen Hurts. Both were amazing in this game, so it was a high-scoring game. But Christian McCaffrey looked phenomenal, 29 points. That was huge. And, it was pretty much, other than Waddle, who played on Sunday night and I had already won at that point and it didn't matter. Every other player on my team was just great. So it was good to see the team perform when I really needed them.
I think it's got to feel. I mean, it always worries me when I play a team 2 weeks in a row in this case, because Jake's going to look at the tape, see what he did wrong, correct it, and
Yep.
hopefully put together a new game plan. That being said, Jake's team did great and just still couldn't keep up with you. And I think guys like Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's just going to be more involved in that 49ers offense with Debo going
Yep.
down now.
Yep.
I think you've got some of the streakiest receivers, Devin, and Waddle and Smith.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Mike
who
Williams.
knows? I was going to get to him. My question for you now is: will you play Mike Williams next week?
That is the question. We talked about this last week, where for me, it's like I don't really, other than really just at their receiver position and flex, like I don't have set starters. I haven't had guys that I've just relied on all year and been great. I've had to pick and choose who I'm starting in the right matchup, which is a terrifying thing, especially going into the playoffs. That's the way I've gotten here, and that's the way it's going to continue. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Certainly haven't made any decisions, but it's for me, it's just like I guarantee you, if it's going to come down to start sit decisions. If I make the right ones, I'm tough to beat right now. If I don't, I mean, Jalen Waddle going and putting up 5 points, I don't expect the rest of my lineup to be able to be as consistent as it was. So I might not be able to overcome a 5-point game from Jalen Waddle again. So it's nerve-wracking, but I got streaky guys for sure.
Yep, ride that wave. Maybe the only recommendation I'd make to you as a manager is ride the hot hand, play Chig Okonkwo.
I I picked him up right before the week, and man, I had the number 3 and 4 tight ends this week, and I played the wrong one. I should have played Chig. He looks phenomenal. So
can't believe that that's a word that we can say out loud.
yeah. Well, got some decisions to make, but for Jake, he's getting Justin Fields back, who was on bye this week, and he'll have a couple decisions to make as well. He didn't play Travis Etienne this week, which is a great decision. So
incredible.
So we'll see what happens there. But Jake's that 3 seed on the 6. We'll see each other again next week, so that should be exciting. And I'm definitely nervous. Teams have been, I think we've been, everyone really has been overlooking Jake all year, where he got off to such a hot start, then he really settled down. And everyone's like, oh, Noah's team and Drew's team, and even you and Andre have been more hyped up than Jake. So I'm worried about that under the 3 seed underdog going into the playoffs. So it'll be a good game, I think.
Yeah, Jake's got a solid team. It's just going to depend on the Tony Pollards and the Mike Evans, and hope that Pollard stays involved and as Mixon gets healthier. I mean, a Mixon touchdown makes your matchup this week a lot closer. So,
right.
Yeah, and if he decides to go with Justin Fields, what is he going to be capable of too? So he got banged up, I think, right before the bye. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to be the tightest matchup again next week.
Yep. And then you will be taking on Andre. You're going to be the 5 seed.
That sucks.
Andre, the 4.
Sucks. Just give me the loss.
That is an exciting. I mean, that's a matchup that a lot of people could have seen, in the championship, and we're going to see that in the first round here. Andre lost with 154 points in the last week of the regular season to Drew, who I mentioned got the weekly prize at 170. Drew finishes the regular season 21-7, was in first place most of the season. Like I said, took home 3 weekly prizes, most regular season points. Just a dominant regular season for Drew. I mean,
looking at his lineup for the first time, I saw this total. Looking at his lineup, 20, 28, 24, 24, 33. It doesn't stop.
Crazy.
And wagon.
And he hadn't played Jerry Jeudy in a long time. He put him back in this week, and 3 touchdowns, 33 points. So just a great decision there. And honestly,
with Terry McLaurin on bye.
And honestly, the scariest thing is that Travis Kelce has not been very good for the last 2 weeks. It's like Travis Kelce got rid of his 2 bad games for Drew going into the playoffs. Like, I don't see any way. I hope it happens on his bye week, at least, that Kelce. Now, this is what happened to me last year. I had Travis Kelce. Kelce went out, put up literally 40 points during my bye. So maybe that'll happen, but to me, it's like he's been dominant no matter, even if Kelce has a down game, other guys pick it up. Tyreek Hill has a down game. Eckler has a down game. It doesn't matter. He still puts up. He's got to have averaged 160 points. It feels like he hasn't put up less than that all season. So,
but I think the hardest thing for Drew here is because of how strong some of those guys that maybe he didn't expect to do so well, Jerry Jeudy's of the world. He's got Terry McLaurin and Chris Olave on the bench.
Yeah,
that we're on bye this last week. Does he plug them in? Does he, ride with Jeudy? I don't know what Drew's got to do here. He's got to find a way to pick him out. He's just got to pick the right guys, obviously.
Yep.
That's the name of the game. But he's got some incredible players that he can slot in there. It's just got to pick the right ones now, Drew.
Yep. And like Noah, he's already into the semifinals. He'll be on bye this week. And like we mentioned, Andre taking on you. I had, Christian McCaffrey mentioned had a huge game this week. He was the number 2 running back on the week because obviously behind the number 1 dominant Jerick McKinnon, who Andre had to have been.
2017?
How many people started Jerick McKinnon? I mean, 32 points for him. He had 7 catches for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, Andre, with all the buys this week, played Mike Boone and Jerick McKinnon and put up 154 points. So, and that was with Stephon Diggs getting 6. Andre has got a scary team. I mean, it's Justin Jefferson had 11 catches for 223 yards. So
I can't say I'm looking forward to that this week.
Yeah.
It's just like I was saying last week, I was really hoping Andre was going to be in that in the cusp teams with us here battling for this last spot. I was like, he's got no running backs this week. This is it. This is how Andre
154.
misses the playoffs. No, he plays Jerick McKinnon and gets more points out of the running back position than my whole team with one guy. That's the third string running back.
Noah scored 68 points this week as a team. Jerick McKinnon scored 32.
Yeah. And Justin Jefferson, it was the most pedestrian 223 yards.
I didn't
catches.
Even know that happened. Nobody was showing.
I thought he had
Justin
a bad
Jefferson.
game.
I was like, oh, what's Jefferson got? Like 5 for 70? Oh, he's got 10 for 200.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That was no touchdown in a 33-point game.
Yeah, so I don't know. He's got Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor that he can plug and play next week. I'm just praying for something of what happened to Noah to happen again to Andre. I think I'm pushing my luck though.
It is pretty funny that from the draft, I had the number 1 pick. You had the number 2. I remember after the first couple of weeks, you were thanking me that I took McCaffrey over Jonathan Taylor because you got Taylor, and you were pumped about that. And now, first round of the playoffs, you get to face Jonathan Taylor. So, see if he can really ruin your season. Or
thanks for spinning it that way. I wasn't really thinking of it that way, but now, yes, thank you. I can have Jonathan Taylor kill me.
Or Jonathan Taylor can go out and do what he did for you a lot of this year, and it'll make you feel a whole lot better about trading him. So,
and I'll get beat by Jerick McKinnon instead. Thanks.
That'll make you feel better. Yeah. So that is going to be a phenomenal playoff game. I think we've got some really good matchups for week 1. And I'll tell you, I'm nervous about the 6th seed, knowing that if I win this week and I take down Jake, I get Drew. The lowest seed's going to play the highest seed. So if I win, I automatically take on Drew. So not that fun knowing I can't possibly make the championship. But another thing about these playoffs here, too, is I'm taking on Jake. If I lose to Jake this week and he moves on to the semifinals, with Noah already having a bye and being in the semifinals, if I lose, there is a 50% chance that one of these Darren Dickdown or Brooks Bachelorette Bukaki end up on the trophy. So that's a little bit more of a motivation for me, knowing that there's a 50-50 shot one of those ends up there if I lose.
I think that's a great. You should give your team that speech before you head into the Saturday slate of games. Also,
that's
important notice, everybody. We got games Thursday.
You know what? Drew's on bye. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's making for an just longer weekend of pain and suffering.
Of pain. That's right.
Yeah. Just sit down.
Oh, I can't wait
to Kleenex. Just get ready to cry.
Yep. Be depressed by Thursday at like 9:00, and then Saturday have it continue. It's going to be a roller coaster, but that's why we love fantasy football.
Yes. Also, I have 0 running backs again. They're all hurt.
Oh boy. Quick note, not gonna waste our time, but Kyle did beat Ryan 120 to 111.
Congrats, Kyle.
Ryan finished the season losing 11 straight games. but at 0-2 this week and 11 straight losses, he did enough to overtake Bart and Zach and not come in last place. Bart and Zach ended up in the last, scoring 78 points against Chris. Ryan with his 111 tied them in record, stayed tied with them in record, and overtook them in points. So
I'd be curious to hear what people thought about the median system. If it was good.
I personally loved it. So I haven't heard many complaints, but yeah, I'd be curious too.
I didn't go 1-1 a lot. If I had, maybe I would feel differently. I either won them all or lost them all. Yeah. So, but yeah, tricky spots here. The stats are a little misleading in that way, but 9-19 doesn't seem all that bad.
Yeah. It really, personally, I think it made you feel way better. And we can, the median's done that. The median doesn't mean shit in the playoffs, obviously. So it just made me feel way better about like Jake this week or an Andre this week, putting up 154, 139 and taking a loss. It just makes you feel a lot better about it. It feels like it's a waste of a good performance if you go 0-1, putting up that many points. At least now okay, I'm 1-1 on the week. I like Andre, who put up 154. He didn't lose ground on Chris, who won with 118 points. That part made you feel better when something like that would happen. I believe. So
absolutely.
Yep. definitely an interesting twist. A very fun regular season. Extremely
Way too
close.
fast. Way too
Yeah.
fast.
Yep. As always, it seems. And yeah. So like we meant, we previewed these playoff matchups. If I win, I'm going to be taking on Drew. Jake is the 3 seed. If he wins, he'll be taking on Noah. But whatever it is, the lowest seed. So you and Andre could play either of them, depending on what happens in the me and Jake matchup. But yeah, we got a couple. I mean, Jake and you looking for that first championship. You guys been in the league forever since it started, and you both got a good shot at it. So that's definitely possible. We got Andre,
When did
who
it start? In seventh grade, something like that.
2008, 7th or 8th grade. Is this the 12th or the 13th? Yeah, I think this might be the 13th year.
Lost so much money.
Yeah. Well, this is only the second year we've done it for 1,200 for the winner, so you can make most of it or all of it back with a championship. But we know it's going to be someone different with the trophy. Kyle's
Right.
going to have to give it up after this season, and we're crowned a champion. He's got 3 more weeks with that thing, and so you and Jake looking for your first. Me, Andre, and Drew, and Noah, all 4 of us, the other 4 teams in this, we all have 2 championships. Nobody has 3 in our league. So we have a lot of teams that have 2. So
So root for Jake and root for Sam.
So we're either going to get a team to win their first, or we're going to get a new, the first team
Dynasty?
to have 3. I don't know if I call it a dynasty. I haven't won since 2014, but it would technically be my 3rd. So yeah. Any last thoughts on the regular season, the way it all ended? And I mean, just I'm so nervous. I'm excited to be in the playoffs. I mean, for me, I was in 9th or 10th place for the majority of the season. I finished 2-0 all 3 of the last 3 weeks, with 2 of those being a weekly prize. So I feel really good about the way my season ended, but it means absolutely nothing now. Now it's just 1 week, 1 matchup. I can go put up 175 and be out. I mean, that's the way it goes. So
I think that
nervous.
for me, I felt like my team was really good all year, and I felt like it was finally in its best form, best position these last 2 weeks. And to have a bunch of my players get hurt this week and to actually win and make the playoffs, but then it ended so fast because when I woke up this morning, saw the standings, realized I had to play Andre. Yeah. It was just like my happiness was really short lived. I would have liked to have cherished this a little bit more, but any given Sunday.
In the dance, anything can happen. We've seen that. And one final note that I would like to make, very important for me as commissioner, to say that the whole controversy of week 1 and the fumbles happening did not affect anything. Noah continues to say he got screwed. I've been holding my breath all season. He finished 4 games behind Drew, who I gave the win to, even though it was the right thing to do. And Drew would have ended the season, if I did what Noah wanted, 20-8. Noah would have been 18-11. Noah still would have been the 2. Drew still would have been the 1. Nothing would have changed. Just had to put that out there.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Absolutely. All right. That's why we do it. So good luck in the playoffs next week. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be a roller coaster for sure. We know that. So
good luck.
Thanks for joining. 2nd straight week. Love doing the recaps with you, and we'll see what happens next week, and maybe we'll get you back on.
Well, I look forward to watching.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Good luck.
See you.